I was the undisputed kingpin of St. Jude's Home for Boys. Nobody dared to adopt me. 2 months ago, I beat up my new foster father and was promptly returned to the orphanage, postage paid. When the richest man in the city came to adopt me, the director, Mrs. Higgins, gave me a desperate lecture. Jax, you have to behave in this new home. No more trouble. I really want you to have a family of your own. I nodded, looking solemn, but the moment I stepped into the billionaire's mansion, I didn't rest for a second. I had a new older brother with severe depression. I dragged him along to take care of 10 stray cats and dogs. I had a new older sister with bulimia and binge eating issues. I dragged her mountain climbing for a solid month. 1 month later, the billionaire dad brought me back to St. Jude's. Mrs. Higgins sighed heavily. It's okay. If you can't handle him, I understand completely. But to her shock, the billionaire grabbed her hands, shaking them with excitement. I came to thank you. Thank you for giving me such a great son. I was currently squatting on a branch of the old crooked oak tree in the courtyard. My fingertips had just grazed a bird's nest when I heard Mrs. Higgins screaming from below. Jack Sterling, get down here right now. Messing with bird nests again. I hugged the trunk and glanced down. She was standing there, hands on her hips. Get down for what? Someone else with bad eyesight wants to adopt me. I swung my legs, feeling absolutely nothing. The chaos of the last few adoptions was still fresh in my memory. I'd been returned 8 times, earning me the title of the orphanage's return to sender champion. Mrs. Higgins glared up at me. This time is different. It's Arthur Sterling, the richest man in Seattle. His family practically owns the skyline. I scoffed, sliding down the tree and dusting off my jeans. So what are these rich? Do his power lines have gold trim or something? Mrs. Higgins tried to smack the back of my head, but I dodged effortlessly. She sighed helplessly. He consulted a spiritual guru who said you are his family's destined lucky star. He specifically needs a son like you. Mrs. Higgins sighed helplessly. He consulted a spiritual guru who said you are his family's destined lucky star. He specifically needs a son like you. I raised an eyebrow. The guru must have had a glitch in his crystal ball. I was clearly a Jinx Pro Max 2 terabytes edition, not a lucky star. But rich people were generally terrible, so maybe this was a good chance to torment them. When Mrs. Higgins marched me in front of Arthur Sterling, I couldn't help but size up the legendary tycoon. The old man was wearing a suit that cost more than my entire existence, grinning like a billionaire Santa Claus, his eyes crinkled into slits. Good. Look at that spirit. Just like me when I was young. We both have that spark. The guru was right. I rolled my eyes. Lots of people had sparks. By that logic, I was destined to be soulmates with old Sal, the hot dog vendor down the street. Arthur Sterling looked more and more satisfied. He turned to Mrs. Higgins. I'll take the boy. Since he's entering the Sterling family, his name should match his brother and sister. We'll change it to Leo Sterling. I jumped up on the spot, my voice louder than his. I'm not changing it. The air went silent. Mrs. Higgins rubbed her hands awkwardly. Mr. Sterling, the boy is stubborn. He might be a handful. Arthur froze for 3 seconds, then clapped his hands and cheered. Character. I love a kid with character. If you don't want to change it, don't change it. I curled my lip. So this was the eccentric laugh of old money. Mrs. Higgins squatted down, holding my hands, her eyes rimmed with red. Jax, please be good in your new home. Don't cause trouble. I want you to have a real home. Her hands were warm, smelling of cheap soap. My chest felt tight. I kicked a pebble and mumbled, I know. She didn't need to be so sad. These rich families usually adopted me for the novelty. Once the newness wore off, I'd be shipped back to St. Jude's anyway. Arthur smiled and patted my shoulder. Let's go, Jax. Come home with Dad. I promise you'll live like a king. I shoved my hands in my pockets, acting cool. Don't call me Jax. Call me Mr. Sterling. He didn't get angry, just chuckled. All right, Mr. Sterling it is. Let's go meet your brother and sister. I followed him, secretly planning how to make him send me back. The plan was precise. Step 1, annoy him. Step 2, make him voluntarily return me. On the drive, Arthur rambled about the family. He was widowed young and raised a son and daughter alone. Now that he was aging, neither of them could handle the Sterling Empire. He was frantic, so he saw a guru who told him to adopt an orphan from the South Side to untie the knots in his family. Arthur checked St. Jude's, found me, and decided I was the one. Walking into the living room, I saw 2 people on the sofa. The guy on the left radiated a don't touch me aura that had to be the eldest, Liam Sterling. The girl on the right was round, her cheeks puffed out. That was the sister, Lila Sterling. Liam glanced at me once, then immediately looked down, treating me like air. I didn't plan on being polite. I remembered Mrs. Higgins mentioning his condition. Hey, I heard you got melancholia. Liam froze like someone hit the pause button. His eyes widened in shock. He slowly looked up, disbelief written all over his face. In the Sterling house, nobody dared mention his depression so bluntly. I patted his shoulder. Melancholic? Is that from eating too many watermelons? Or do you get a rash from cantaloupes? Don't give up, man. Your family is rich. They can buy you better fruit. What are you worried about? I turned and saw Lila staring at me, her expression complex. Hey, they said you have bulimia? You love eating grease? Can you really inhale 3 buckets of fried chicken in one sitting? The moment the words landed, Lila's tears fell like broken pearls. She covered her face and wailed. I don't eat 3 buckets of chicken. Arthur rushed over to mediate, handing tissues to Lila while winking at me. Jax, don't talk nonsense. Your sister just has a healthy appetite. Liam's face was dark. He didn't scold me, just stood up and went to his room without a word. Lila was still crying. Dad, he called me fat. Arthur comforted her while I stood there looking innocent. But you are fat. Obesity leads to fatty liver, diabetes, hypertension, high lipids, cardiovascular disease, and yada yada. Before I could finish, Lila covered her face and ran upstairs. I smirked. This family was too easy. Liam was a block of ice, and Lila was a balloon that popped to the first prick. They were more fragile than the toddlers at the orphanage who lost their lollipops. Breaking these rich people would be easier than I thought. Liam barely left his room except to eat, walking silently to avoid human contact. I was bored out of my mind. No bird nest to raid, nobody pranking back. I was practically growing mold. One day, wandering the streets, I saw a group of stray cats and dogs in a corner, skin and bones. An idea struck. The Sterlings had money and space. Raising a few lives was nothing to them. I rolled in my sleeves and adopted every stray I could find. 10 of them. 3 cats, 5 dogs, and 2 hedgehogs, not counting the ticks on them. When Liam came out for water that night, he walked into a zoo. Cats and dogs were running wild. Hedgehogs were under the sofa, and fur was flying everywhere. His face went pitch black. The vein in his forehead pulsed. He stared at me, looking like he wanted to skin me alive. I stared back, tough as nails. What are you looking at? I picked them up. I'll take care of them. Just don't hurt them. He pressed his lips together, frowning so hard he could crush a walnut, but eventually said nothing and turned back to his room. For the next few days, I was busy feeding and cleaning. Liam would silently pass by. Once, a kitten grabbed his pant leg. He just looked away and pretended not to notice. Until one morning, I'd stayed up late watching animal care videos and overslept. I woke up to strange noises in the living room. I rushed down and froze. Liam was crouching on the floor, hands pressing on the belly of a large orange tabby cat. He was sweating, looking terrified. There was a pool of blood under the cat. Liam, what are you doing? I shouted, rushing to push him away. Just because you have melancholic doesn't mean you can take it out on the cat. Animal abuse is bad karma. He didn't stop, speaking urgently without looking up. Shut up. She's giving birth. It's a difficult labor. I froze. Looking closer, I saw the tabby curling up in pain, a tiny claw visible. Liam's movements looked rough, but were actually incredibly gentle, stroking the cat's spine, his voice barely a whisper. Don't be afraid. Push a little harder. I dropped the attitude and squatted down to help hand him towels and catch the kittens. After 2 grueling hours, the tabby finally delivered 3 kittens and collapsed, panting. Liam slumped onto the carpet, hair messy, shirt stained with blood and fur. He didn't look disgusted at all. Instead, he reached out and gently stroked the tabby's head. The cat seemed to understand, rubbing against his hand before curling up against his leg, completely trusting. From that moment on, Liam's attitude toward the animals changed. He stopped avoiding them. Every morning, he'd fill the food bowls and change the water, even squatting down to watch them play. Once I caught him talking to the tabby, his voice unnervingly soft. Did you not eat much today? Does your stomach hurt? I leaned in to tease him. What? Did the cat steal your tongue? His ears turned red. He avoided my gaze and muttered. They're just pitiful. The guy seemed cold, but he was soft inside. He was more attentive to the animals than anyone. The gloom in Liam's eyes faded day by day. Occasionally, a kitten would do something stupid, and he'd actually smile. On the other hand, my sister Lila was still a crying mess. She was a total love brain. She'd eaten herself into this state over a guy named Brad, a bleach blonde loser. Rumor had it Brad made a bet with friends, telling Lila he liked chubby girls because they were cute. She believed him and ate her way from slim to round. Then she caught Brad hugging a girl with an hourglass figure, telling his friends, that's what a man calls curves. Lila is just greasy fat, like a pig. Lila went home in a rage, ate 3 chocolate cakes, and her weight spiraled out of control. One day, I walked past her room and saw her hunched over her desk. Her phone screen was a wall of green, outgoing messages. 10 texts, 9 from her, and a transfer receipt. I leaned over to read her essay. Brad, is this enough money? If not, I can send more. Just tell me what you need. I'll lose weight. Please give me another chance, okay? I rolled my eyes and tapped her shoulder. That's a long novel. Did he pay you the royalties yet? Lila looked at me with resentment, eyes red and puffy. Do you think he and I took a deep breath and sat on a chair. It's a wreck. A total check bounce. Penal Code Section 234, intentional injury to my eyes. You two are idiots pairing up, precise poverty alleviation. A biological paradox, making Darwin cry. A toad would look at him and get drunk. He wouldn't even qualify to be roadkill. Nauseating. Capital offense. 2 people on the roof, 1 monster in the sewer. You're blind and he's trash. It's making me exhausted just watching. You two should bow down and apologize to me and pay my medical bills. I stared at the transfer record. This girl was so love-struck, she was practically brain dead, happily being a walking ATM. Despite living in a mansion, she was starved for affection. Her mom died early. Arthur was always working. Nobody noticed when she got played by a scumbag. To Lila, money meant nothing. She just wanted someone to care. Brad's fake affection had hooked her deep, but she liked the animals I brought home. I had an idea. I leaned in. I found a bunch of stray cats on a mountain outside the city. There are newborn kittens, rounder and cuter than the ones here, but nobody's taking care of them. It's tragic. Lila's eyes lit up. She grabbed my hand. Really? Let's go see them. I'll bring food. I nodded, hiding a smirk. The next morning, I dragged Lila up the mountain. We barely made it 200 yards before she was clutching a tree, gasping for air, face beat red. I can't do it. Let's go back. We'll see the kittens next time. I stopped and sighed dramatically. Fine, go back. I'm going to find them. Think about the mother cat, crossing the highway to find food for her babies, maybe getting hit by a car. The kittens starving. I watched her face. Her eyes reddened immediately. She bit her lip and clenched her fist. No, we have to find the kittens. She wiped her eyes and kept climbing. At first, she rested every 2 steps, wheezing like a broken accordion, chanting, "Kittens, wait for me." But gradually, she got stronger. She still panted, but she never mentioned quitting. I cheered her on. Look at that bush ahead. I think I saw a tail. She'd light up and charge forward. We climbed for half a month. Lila never suspected a thing. Every morning, she woke me up. Jax, get up. We have to feed the kittens. Feed what kittens? I was carrying 40 cans of tuna up a mountain for nothing. Not a single cat was ever there. But we climbed rain or shine. From dying halfway up, she eventually could hike to the summit without stopping. Lila's stamina skyrocketed. The fat on her face melted away. Her waist appeared, and she visibly shrank. 1 month later, Lila stood in front of the mirror and screamed, "Jax, look, I am Finn. I'm back to my old self." Her baby fat was gone. Her jawline was sharp. Her skin, tanned from the sun, glowed with health. She looked nothing like the pale, round girl from before. Once she slimmed down, Lila's suitors started popping up like mushrooms after rain. She was overwhelmed at first, but slowly gained confidence. She was no longer the pathetic girl revolving around Brad. That's right. You need to be the main character now. Don't orbit around trash. Guys like Brad. The more you ignore them, the more they chase you. Lila nodded. Sure enough, a few days later, Brad showed up. He probably heard Lila was hot again and came to simp. He texted her nonstop. "Lila, I was wrong. I still love you. Let's get dinner this weekend. I'll make it up to you." I picked up the necklace Brad sent. Copper-plated with silver. This isn't even worth as much as the dog collar. In the past, Lila would have melted. This time, she blocked Brad's number and returned the necklace unopened. She told me about it with steel in her eyes. "Jax, you were right. He doesn't deserve me. I deserve better." Seeing her completely awake was satisfying. That month of hiking was worth it. But just as Lila improved, Liam got suspicious. That night, watching Lila and me laughing, he suddenly asked, "You guys go up the mountain looking for cats every day for a month. Where are the cats? Why haven't you brought one back?" Lila blinked and said self-righteously, "Don't worry about pretty girl business." Liam raised an eyebrow, but didn't push it. Arthur was ecstatic about the changes in the house. He bragged to everyone. "I told you the guru was right. Jax is our lucky star. Liam is opening up. Lila is confident. This house finally feels alive." While he was happy, I threw a bucket of cold water on him. "Old man, don't just praise the guru. You need to reflect on yourself. You were so busy making money, you didn't notice your son was depressed or your daughter was being scammed by a loser. Was that right?" Arthur didn't get mad. He patted my shoulder, looking guilty. You're right. I was wrong. I neglected you all. From now on, I'll make time. I'll be a proper dad. Liam and Lila were sitting nearby, one peeling grapes for me, the other fanning me. Arthur asked, what about me? Dad, don't just stand there, I said, leaning back on the sofa. Go make Jax a cup of tea. I felt warm inside. This family was weird. A mute, a drama queen, and an absent tycoon. But they were kind. Compared to my previous foster homes, they were saints. Those other families looked nice, but did dirty things behind closed doors. My bad behavior back then was just payback, but I never told anyone. Now, watching Liam lose his gloom and start helping with the company, and Lila becoming a confident beauty, and Arthur actually coming home for dinner, I suddenly felt that being adopted by Arthur Sterling wasn't such a bad thing. One day, Liam was squatting on the floor feeding the dog, his brow relaxed. Suddenly, the landline rang, shattering the peace. Liam answered. Within seconds, his face went ghost white. His knuckles turned white, gripping the phone. What did you say? Don't hurt her. My heart dropped. What's wrong? It's kidnappers, Liam stammered, the old darkness flooding back into his eyes, mixed with panic. They say they have Lila. They want $5 million in cash, or else. I snatched the phone and roared into it. Cut the crap. If Lila loses a single hair, I will dismantle your hideout brick by brick. Shut up. 1 hour. The abandoned factory south of the city. Arthur Sterling comes alone. Cash only. Call the cops, and she dies. It was a shrill, female voice, dripping with hatred. Click. Arthur just walked in from work. Hearing this, his face turned green. He grabbed his coat. I'm getting the cash. You two stay here. I'm coming with you. Liam clenched his fists. Me too, I said. Safety in numbers. Arthur looked at us, nodded, and didn't argue. The atmosphere in the car was suffocating. We arrived at the factory as the sun set. It was gloomy, lit by a few flickering bulbs. We kicked open the door to find Lila tied to a pillar, mouth taped, eyes red. Seeing us, she started crying, making muffled noises. Standing next to her was a girl with messy hair and crazy eyes, holding a thick wooden club. It was Tiffany, the girl Brad had been cheating with. Arthur Sterling. Did you bring the money? Tiffany screamed, slamming the club on the ground. Throw it here, or I'll kill her. Let my daughter go first. The money is here. Tiffany shrieked, pointing at Lila. This slut. She knew Brad was my boyfriend, and she still seduced him. If it wasn't for her, Brad wouldn't have broken up with me. It's all her fault. Lila shook her head violently, eyes full of injustice. I exploded. I stepped forward, pointing at Tiffany. Is your brain flooded? Brad is a piece of trash. He cheated, lied, and stole. Only you treat him like a treasure. My sister doesn't give a damn about him. Kidnapping her is useless. Liar. Tiffany's face twisted. She raised the club and swung it at Lila's head. I'll kill you. In that split second, a figure burst in from the shadows, tackled Tiffany, and shielded Lila. It was fast and professional. I looked closely. It was a guy in a SWAT vest, tall, muscular, handsome enough to be a movie star. Tiffany screamed and tried to fight, but the officer locked her wrist instantly. Ms. Sterling, are you okay? The officer turned to Lila, his voice dropping an octave to gentle. He ripped the tape off and untied her, then scooped her up in a princess carry. Lila blushed, instinctively wrapping her arms around his neck. I'm okay. Thank you. We followed them out. As we stepped through the factory gates, I stopped dead. Outside, a lineup of men was waiting. There were guys in tailored suits looking like lawyers, guys in athletic gear who looked like fitness models, and a guy leaning against a sports car who looked like a tech CEO. Seeing the officer carry Lila out, they swarmed. Lila, are you hurt? I was so worried. I came as soon as I heard. The officer set Lila down, smirking. Ms. Sterling, quite the popularity you have. Lila turned bright red and lowered her head. Thank you all for coming. Since she lost the weight, her popularity was absurd. Where are the morals? Where was the dignity? Arthur watched the scene, stunned, then smiled with relief, patting my back. Jax, you really have a way. Lila is a different person now. Liam let out a breath, a faint smile touching his lips. Tiffany was dragged away by other officers, still screaming curses. I walked up to her. You can't let go of Brad because you think he's rich. He's not. He's a gigolo. He steals money from older women to support you. Tiffany listened, eyes widened, and she fainted on the spot. The next day, the police report came in. Tiffany cracked immediately. She showed them her text with Brad. It turned out Brad owed massive gambling debts. He tricked Tiffany, telling her Lila was stalking him, and convinced her to kidnap Lila for ransom to pay his debts. When the police showed Brad the evidence, he collapsed, crying and begging. But the law doesn't pity scum. Brad got hit with kidnapping and fraud, 15 years. Tiffany went down for kidnapping too. They were soulmates locked up in separate prisons. When we heard the news, we were eating dinner. Lila paused, then smiled, a look of pure relief. Liam put down his chopsticks, looking pleased. Arthur laughed. This is great. If Jax hadn't woken Lila up to Brad's true colors, who knows what would have happened? I sipped my tea, acting cool. No big deal. I've seen plenty of guys like him. Since Brad and Tiffany went to prison, the Sterling house was peaceful. Liam became cheerful, managing the company well and helping me feed the strays. Lila rejected all her suitors to focus on her career. She opened an animal rescue foundation, taking in all my strays and more. She was glowing. Arthur was over the moon. One day, he patted my shoulder. Jax, come with me to St. Jude's. We need to thank Mrs. Higgins properly. I hesitated. Going back to the orphanage usually meant being returned. But seeing Arthur's eager face, I nodded. Fine. I should see her anyway. When the car pulled up, Mrs. Higgins was waiting at the gate. Seeing us, her smile froze. She rushed over, grabbing my hand, her voice frantic. Jax, did you cause trouble again? Did you get the family involved in that kidnapping? I told you to be good. Why won't you listen? She was tearing up, lightly slapping my hand. She looked apologetically at Arthur. It's okay, Mr. Sterling. If you can't handle him, I understand. Arthur grabbed Mrs. Higgins' hand, shaking it violently. Director, don't say that. I came to thank you. Thank you for giving me such an amazing son. Mrs. Higgins blinked, totally lost. Mr. Sterling, what do you mean? Jax didn't cause trouble. Arthur laughed. Trouble? He saved our family. You don't know. Arthur continued, beaming. Liam was so depressed he wouldn't leave his room. Jax got into care for animals, and now Liam is running the company. Lila was being scammed by a loser. Jax got her to climb mountains and find her confidence. Now, she's running a foundation. Jax is the Sterling family's lucky charm. Mrs. Higgins stood there, jaw dropped, looking at me in disbelief. You winks ahead. Back at St. Jude's, it was the demon child. Now, someone finally saw me as a blessing. Mrs. Higgins, I didn't cause trouble. I'm a good boy now. Arthur patted his chest. Don't worry, Director. Jax lives like a king. We all love him. He is a true Sterling. If anyone says a bad word about him, they answer to me. Mrs. Higgins looked at me, then at Arthur, and tears spilled over. Happy tears this time. She held our hands. Good, good. Seeing you have a real home. I can rest easy. Jax, be good to Mr. Sterling. Be good to your brother and sister. I know. I nodded. I used to think I was unwanted. A jinx. Now I realized I could be a lucky star. Arthur handed over gifts and a massive check. A small token. Thank you for raising him. Anything St. Jude's needs, you call me. Leaving the orphanage, Arthur was still buzzing, talking about building new wings for the orphanage and funding Lila's shelters. I leaned against the window, listening to his rambling, feeling warm. Liam, sitting in the passenger seat, turned and smiled at me. Mrs. Higgins was definitely surprised. She always worried nobody could handle you. Lila leaned in. Right? Who dares call our Jax a demon now? He's our lucky charm. I smirked, about to make a snarky comeback, but a thought hit me. I cleared my throat and looked at Arthur driving. Hey, old man. What is it, Jax? You want something? Just ask Dad. I scratched my head, looking out the window, my voice quiet. I mean, when are we going to the courthouse? Arthur looked confused. Courthouse. What for? To change my name. Arthur looked blank. Change your name? You were so against it. Why the change of heart? I pointed at myself, then at Liam and Lila. You adopted me. You're my dad. But calling me Jax while they are Liam and Lila, it doesn't match the set, does it? I stared at him, suddenly nervous. I had rejected his offer so harshly before. Would he think I was fickle? Arthur froze. His hands tightened on the steering wheel for 3 seconds. Then, his face split into a blinding grin. He reached back and slapped my knee excitedly. Change it. We change it. First thing tomorrow morning. The Sterling L generation must be complete. He laughed so hard his eyes disappeared. Now, Leo, Sterling. It's perfect. Liam, Lila, Leo. We are a complete family. I watched him laughing and felt a warmth spread through my chest. I used to think a name was just a label, but now I understood. Changing it meant acceptance. It meant I wasn't just passing through. Liam smiled, his eyes warm. Welcome officially, Leo. Lila grabbed my arm, eyes tearing up. Yes, now we are real siblings. Liam, Lila, Leo. Nobody is missing. Her hand was warm. I didn't pull away. I just turned my head to look out the window to hide my grin. Arthur started humming a tune, clearly in a great mood. I told you that Guru was a genius. Watching the scenery blur past and the smiling faces of my family, I felt a sense of belonging I'd never known. At the orphanage, I was always returned. But here, Arthur treated me like a son. Liam and Lila treated me like a brother. They wouldn't throw me away because I was loud or troublesome. I knew, finally, that I was home. Story complete.